Namaskar and a very warm welcome to this conference today. I welcome you all to the Revenue Management and Intelligence Summit East India Edition. This is being organized by Elites Technomedia in association with SAS India. Elites Technomedia has been into the business of knowledge consultancy, media, and technology research for the past more than 18 years. Over the 18 years, it has been our endeavor to bring together key stakeholders of the economy, whether they are from the government or they are from the industry or from the business, and also the civil society to come on a common platform and discuss and deliberate upon the issues and opportunities which are shaping our India and making of the new India. So, in this continuation, today it is a pleasure to host here this a short conference of around 2 hours, Revenue Management and Intelligence Summit East India Edition, which is being organized by Elites Technomedia in association with a leading multinational company, SAS India. The theme of this session would be optimizing revenue through application of advanced analytics. And this is not a one-off edition. We have had a very successful West India edition of this conference around a month back, the second of the series, where a number of eminent speakers from the western region of the country they participated to share their opinion on the challenges and scope pertaining to revenue management in various departments. In the East India edition today, we will be discussing several innovations happening in different departments, including revenue and stamp duty, income tax, excise, transport, mines and geology, municipal corporations, and also deliberate upon the potential use of AI and cognitive computing in revenue and intelligent management. Besides, we'll also try to explore the adoption of new age technologies, just like analytics and artificial intelligence, by these departments for maximizing revenue and reducing costs, bringing superlative citizen and customer experience, and plugging the revenue leakages. We have had the pleasure of hosting eminent speakers, as I mentioned a short while back in the past, in the previous edition of this conference. And in today's conference also, we would be joined by eminent speakers from the length and breadth of the country. There would be a fireside chat with Mr. Sushil Kumar Lohani, Principal Secretary and Commissioner of Commercial Tax and GST Department, Government of Odisha. Thereafter, we'll be having a panel discussion which is going on in the parallel hall. The theme of that panel discussion is optimizing revenue through the application of advanced analytics, wherein we'll be having speakers from the governments of Odisha, Jharkhand, and there will be industry expert from SAS India. In the parallel hall number two, it's my pleasure to welcome here Mr. Meban Shailang R. Sendram. He is an IAS officer from the Meghalaya cadre, currently serving as Commissioner and Secretary, Commerce and Industries Department in the Government of Meghalaya. And in conversation with Mr. Mebang Shailang would be Mr. B. Radhakrishna, CFCS Director, SAS, Fraud and Security Intelligence, SAS India. And also, this conversation would be joined by the Chief Executive Officer and Editor-in-Chief of Elites Technomedia, Dr. Ravi Gupta. So without taking further time, I would like to request all the speakers to come here on the screen, please.
Hello, everyone. I am Ravi Gupta. I am editor-in-chief of eGov magazine. eGov magazine is Asia's and India's first and only magazine on e-governance. And we are holding this Elites leadership talk series. And we are very, very excited to have our key speaker, Mr. M.R. Sendram, today, who's an IAS officer. And he's Commissioner and Secretary, Transport Department, Department of Commerce and Industries, and Department of IT. And he will be highlighting how IT is being used in his departments and overall state of Meghalaya, and especially talk about how data analytics is being used or proposed to be used in his state and overall departments he is handling. And we are also proud to have with us in this fireside chat is Mr. Radha Krishna, who is Director of Fraud Management Practice at SAS. So he handles like fraud and cyber security and overall data analytics issues. So uh, we have two eminent experts here with us, and it's a great honor to have both of you here. So welcome, Mr. Sindram, and welcome, Mr. Radha. Thanks for joining. So let me start by asking Mr. Sindram uh, that how uh, transport department mm, can leverage data analytics to optimize their operations. Like asking that how the transport department can leverage data analytics to optimize their operations, and how do you see the uh, usage of various newer IT tools in overall uh, data analytics and overall improving IT for deploying IT for improving efficiency in the organization. So, Mr. Sindram, over to you.
Thank you, Gupta ji. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for having me for in this interaction in this discussion. I'm grateful that you have called me to come and have share my thoughts on different issues pertaining to departments which I hold. As you all aware, I mean, data is it was like a backbone for everything. We have good data, we can plan uh, good policies, good programs. Without good data, even if the best of policies, the best of programs fail because data is not there. Same with the case of transport as well. I mean, as it stands now, all states in the country we are using the Vahan and Sarathi system, which is developed by Ministry of Road Transport and Highways for registration of vehicles and for many other things pertaining to the vehicles that are bought and owned by the people in the state and also in the country. Apart from that, there's also many other things which the transport department also does. See, we have concept of integrated checkpoints or check gates where because the state is very rich in minerals, so where all these mineral laden vehicles pass through, and it becomes very difficult to really detect how whether the vehicles are carrying the proper challans or they carrying the proper quantity as mentioned in the challans, and there's a lot of leakage of revenue without an IT back system. So about a couple of months ago, say about a year ago, we had worked with Digital India Corporation to have some sort of a, before we come out with a proper full IT system, we somewhat of a QR code based system where you can monitor, issue the challan with a QR code in the challans, that as and when the vehicle carrying minerals passes through a particular checkpoint or a checkpost, then the inspector there, be it the mining inspector or the transport chap, will just scan that. It's an app mobile based system where you can just scan the QR code. Then you exactly get to know what kind of mineral the truck is carrying, how much is the challan quantity issued for, and if there's any discrepancy, then we get we can able to monitor. Especially when these minerals when they go towards Bangladesh, then we are able to monitor how much of this mineral that the of boulders or be it coal or whatever that this vehicle is carrying. It started as a pilot project. I mean, now the mining department, in collaboration with us, is also coming up with a slightly bigger project where they are setting up automatic, IT-based systems in at these different integrated checkpoints where the vehicle just passes from there like a way in motion system passes through, and then there's a reading of how much or what the vehicle is carrying. That's now in the pipeline. It's been driven by the mining department here in the state, but transport department being the nodal department for all the checking of vehicles as per the MV Act, we are also on board, and they're using most of our locations where we have our checkpoints or check gates to do this. And we hope that once technology is brought in, then and once the human element is reduced, then the leakage of revenue or the hiding of small things and letting trucks pass without we getting checked at all, and that will come down a large extent. As you know, technology is important in everything. Once technology comes in, I think a lot of things can be sorted out, and a lot of revenue which would have been lost will not be lost. Coming to that, to the point number two, having said that technology is important, it's also important that we have a proper connectivity and a proper backbone, because all these locations are in very scattered areas, not only in areas in say the state capital or somewhere nearby. It's across all the whole state, especially on the exit points towards the state, exiting the state or towards the international border. And as you know, a hilly state like ours in Northeast, the connectivity is not that great towards the border areas, and also in many other remote areas of the state. Uh, we are grateful to the Ministry of Telecom for helping us, and under the USOF project, we have got about close to 100 new 884 towers which are going to be set up across the state, covering almost about over 1,000 villages and also along national highways. That we hope will improve the connectivity, and also as and when we bring in technology uh, in, in the department, we hope that with the increased connectivity and the increased penetration of mobile connectivity and also broadband as well, and through BharatNet, be it through the fiber or through the VSATs, we'll be able to implement use the technology which has been designed and got on board. Otherwise, having technology and then being able to use it also is not really. I mean, doesn't make any sense at all. So technology, hey, one way, one side, and implementation of the technology is also very important. So it has to go side and side. So that is what the government of India is also helping us, and we are also from the state coming up with our own. We have already notified our own telecom also the state telecom infrastructure to aid, assist, and help in the tower providers to set up infrastructure across the state, and also see how best we can see which areas require interventions from the different, would they be at a TSP or also an ISP. So we're able to get this connectivity down to the last mile. So technology, data, technology, without this network infrastructure will not be serve the purpose, because if we are able to give the support or the technology utilization only in the state capital or within say 30-40 kilometers of state capital, I think doesn't really make much of sense. We need to take the technology right down to the last mile, so that we're able to utilize whatever technology we come up with, and ensure that the benefit goes down, percolates down to the people. And talking about technology in the transport department, one more thing also we have done, like from um, piggy riding on the e-district project, which was launched under the support of maybe some time back. We also put most of our transport related items, especially to do with government to citizen. Before they have to come to the DGO office, apply, and then come back again, get their license, get the learner's license, for renewal of documents of vehicles. Now we put everything on the e-district portal. A person can go to a common service center or sit at home, apply, get an SMS reply, and then when things are ready, he can even get his document also via the mail, and then he can just download and use it. That's number one, which has been done. Number two also is the e-challan system of the police, where we have those POS machines, and then if any violation of any MV Act, before what the police has to take out the challan, write the challan, and then and find him. Now we are starting on a pilot basis in the state capital first in one of the police stations. We've tied up with the State Bank of India and the police department here to use the POS machines given by State Bank of India. So it's just in a piloting stage right now, and we hope to be able to, once the pilot is successful, then we hope to implement it across all the police stations and across the thanas all across the state. And once again, having said that, once again I come back to the same earlier point which I said, the connectivity percolation right down to all the thanas is also important, because once we use that, if the police personnel have those each land POS machines without the connectivity, then that also again becomes redundant. So side by side, we are thinking of trying it first as a proof of concept in the state capital and see how it works. And once that is done, then we'll percolate it down to all the other districts and thanas and all the districts in the state. Those are some of the few initiatives. Another initiative is to generate more revenue, like other states are doing. We are having those, we also have those fancy numbers where people auction of fancy numbers and buy and pay. That also is there, but right now it's all manual, and there's no online bidding as such for those fancy numbers like other states are doing. That's something which also may be in the pipeline, where we put this bidding of all these numbers also online, and we'll also then have a database of how many, who has bought which number and at what cost, and if somebody wants any data on how much revenue has been generated by sale of these numbers, you don't need to open the files and search. You can just click of a button and get the details. There's small details which can be done, but I think we start small, then then progress from there and see how things pick up from there. So in a nutshell, this is what I had to share on using data and technology. Getting things done in department, not only in transport department, but in government as a whole. Thanks, Ravi. Back to you, Ravi.
Great, like I think steps which have been taken. I think that these are very interesting and innovative steps. And let me request our industry experts, Shri Radhakrishna ji, who is a director at SAS, to give your views about what are the inputs you have regarding how transport department can leverage data analytics to optimize their operations, and how do you see that organization like SAS can support and help here? Radhaji, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi Gupta, and thanks a lot for Mr. Sindram to join session today to provide us perspectives from the department. And I think quite a few points what Mr. Sindram shared with respect to the operations, which essentially involves the data and the multiple types of data. He touched quite a bit on technology, kinds of technology that are being used across the various facets of the operations of the department, and how does that help on two counts. One, provide better services to the citizen, and of course the second one, of course, is also revenue to the government. Actually, these are the two very important dimensions for the operations of the transport department. Now, purely from a data science practitioner perspective and the usage of analytics in the context of transport, if we get into slightly granular information, we essentially deal with vehicle data, we essentially deal with licenses, we essentially deal with a lot of information, which we could use collaborating with other government departments, as what Mr. Sindra mentioned around mining and so on. And also a lot of data which comes from the enforcement part, which is like the people who are gone on the ground with respect to challans and so on, actually. Okay. Now, this data could lie at multiple granularity. There'll be a lot of historical data, which essentially means that there is tremendous scope of learning from the data that lies out over there, actually. Now, the typical use cases, what we look at in the context of transport data is that one is around compliance. How do we use this data to ensure, reducing the non-compliance within the state, whether it is across the business uh, or companies or individuals, so that the general safety is ensured within the state with respect to the vehicles that are plying on the road. And that's where it is very important that the vehicles or the vehicle owners, both business and individuals, are complying to the safety regulations. And I think that's one of the primary objectives, goals of the transport department, of any transport department. And how essentially can data help to kind of ensure that there is safety is enhanced. Second is around the income part. Transport department, of course, is one of the top 4 or 5 departments for any state in terms of generating the revenue, which is very critical from the state perspective. Now, when we are talking about increasing the revenue, one of the critical aspects of is identifying the revenue leakages, the scope for revenue leakages across multiple areas. Now, it could be at within the operations of the department, or it could be with the other entities. Now, when I refer to other entities, the licensees, or it could be the registrations that are happening, misuse in the registrations, misuse in the classification of the vehicles, and so on. Actually. So that again, will become one of the critical aspects. So based on our experience of working across the globe, what we look at is how do we really identify these non-compliance? How do we really identify these revenue leakages? There is a very well-known methodology, what we follow as a best practice, starting with dealing with what is known in terms of by virtue of the experience of the officers in the transport department. They typically know what are the possible violations, what are the indicators of the possible violations, whether it is at a registration level, whether it is at a issuing permit level, or whether it is at misclassification associated with various activities. So one essentially dealing with the known part, where we typically talk about triggers, or we typically talk about business rules. Actually, the second one, of course, is very important, where we move slowly from the known world to unknown world. That is where we get into identifying abnormalities or outliers, where we essentially look into that a vehicle behavior or a permit behavior seems to be different from an expected behavior, and that is where these outliers are identified and flagged off to officers to check on those outliers if that is resulting in a revenue leakage. Third, of course, is we also get into something called as a predictive modeling, where we identify what are the typical characteristics of individual company transporters or vehicles, permits, including the enforcement officers, challans, which are highly correlated to known revenue leakage behavior. And then we essentially build a model to identify what are those attributes which are highly correlated to that known behavior. Fourth, what we also have seen, which is very, very high impact, is around network analysis. It is quite possible that various stakeholders within the ecosystem of transport department, there could be some collusion between the various entities with a clear view of revenue leakage to the government. So that is where we essentially get into network analytics to identify the suspicious linkages between various entities and how those linkages can be investigated to identify the possible sources of revenue leakage. So all in all, I think the framework what we are suggesting, right from business rules to network analysis, to identify suspicious aspects with respect to known and unknown behavior, is very well established in multiple transport departments. I think one of the point what Mr. Sindram mentioned very, very evidently in terms of how transport department could be very effective in terms of identifying leakages with respect to other departments. And the case in point what he mentioned is mining actually. In one of the states where we are working with the mining department, one of the critical sources of information is the the vehicle movement and the details that are available with the check posts with respect to identifying whether there is any iron ore or any material which is getting transported without proper duty being collected by the state actually. So from that perspective, transport department will also become one of the critical departments to share that information with other government department, which in this case is mining, to ensure that generally there is no revenue leakage with respect to any department within a state. So there are multiple use cases with respect to data analytics, whether it is in transport, looking at the granular data of license, registrations, permits, or for that reason, also looking into the data associated with the enforcement officers. Also, monitoring those enforcement officers on the ground is also one of the critical use case, not only from the performance perspective, or if there is any moral hazard associated with the enforcement officers.
The inputs you have provided are like very, very valuable and very important from a technology perspective. So requesting Mr. Sindram to answer another question that with disruptions caused by COVID, how do you believe Department of Commerce and Industries can leverage analytics to take data-driven decisions? Like how are you looking at applying IT in your other department, which is Commerce and Industries also, and overall IT you are handling? So from the IT department perspective also, how do you look at data analytics application and various other departments of the government? Mr. Sindram, over to you. You are on mute, so if you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Ravi. Thank you so much. COVID has caused big disruption, and no doubt about that. I mean, pre-COVID, I mean, we would not have had a meeting like this on VC and have video recording on VC. And pre-COVID, nobody had any data. I remember when COVID struck us, they tried to find out the details of people standing outside. We had no data, zero data. Nobody knew how many people on the state were standing in which part of the country, and how when people were coming back, we had no idea where they were coming back. So data indeed plays, when COVID struck, now people realize that data plays a very, very important role, and when we have to plan on how to what kind of support we can give, what kind of relief measures can be initiated, what kind of support can be given to industry. So basically what happened was prior to COVID, I mean, even we did not have any information on many things. When COVID struck, we had to get our people back from different parts of the country who have got to come back. Then all of us sat down and designed a system where we can have a system where develop a portal where people from different parts of the country who wanted to come back to the state, then enter their details, enter the data that's captured, to have stored in a proper database and hosted in the data center, along with the details of wherever they were stranded, they belong to which place, what is the current job profile, what work are they doing, what is the age profile. So now that we captured that data, we can then always go back to the portal and see what kind of skills set do the people have, those who come back. What kind of, suppose you want to make any intervention, what sort of intervention should we make that will be able to help them? We know exactly who have come back from which part of the country, who have done work, to say who have an MBA degree, who have worked in management, who have come back, who have just worked, have worked as unskilled laborers or semi-skilled laborers, or or who have worked in big companies who have come back to the state, and what kind of different categories it is. Now we have details of the entire people who have come back. They may have gone back as well. I mean, after the first wave or second wave, some have gone back, but we still have details of what kind of manpower is there from the state who have gone outside and who have come back during COVID. What skill set do they have? That's something which was never realized earlier before COVID came. And now with COVID has come, this has led us to get into deep dive into the data and understand that data is very, very important when you want to plan on what kind of intervention we need to or support we need to give to these kind of our citizens. So for example, in the industries department, there are many people who have come back want to get some support as entrepreneurs from here. And we had to, because we have Northeastern Council here and the Ministry of Donor who also, give support to the state government. We had discussed it with NEC. Then NEC gives some sort of funding to support those people who have come from outside the state, so that they are able to give some sort of seed money that they can, then build up on that, be a business or be a service activity. When we had the discussion, then we realized NEC will go. They'll ask, they may even give the funds. Where's the database that from our side? You tell NEC, these are the people who have come, and these are the kind of skill set that we have, and this is the kind of money that we require. So what we had to do from the department was, every district, every office of the district industries commerce industry center, we had to then call these people, get them in one by one, enter all the details in a sort of a database, map them against the skill set that they have, make a comprehensive list of all the potential people who will take this support from us. Then we had an idea of what kind of people who have come back, but then who would need this sort of support that the government is willing to give. In fact, tomorrow we're having another meeting, a sanctioning committee to sanction these support that we are giving to people who have come back from outside the states, the second tranche, the third tranche, and the fourth tranche, so on and so forth. Having said that, I totally agree that data and analysis of data is extremely important in a situation like COVID, where we don't know when it suddenly hits us and we don't know what to do. And when we think, okay, it's hit us, as a government, we need to plan to help people. When we have proper data, then we are able to, plan to do this and do that. Now we are able to help so many people, more than 600 people have come back who are jobless by collecting data and then analyzing the data, assessing what kind of skill sets they have, what kind of support they require. We've been able to help so many of them across all the districts by giving them these seed money for them to start the small businesses as entrepreneurs in whatever sector which they had the expertise earlier and which you want to carry on. They don't want to go back, so they want to carry on in the state. That's something which has really helped us in the industries, commerce and industries department, for one, as we plan to give support to people. Now to be speak in general, not be specific, in the other departments as well, post-COVID, now everyone is realizing that having proper data is way ahead. We cannot just talk, go to meetings, talk, but there's the data. I mean, how do you arrive at the figures? Okay, we'll do this scheme X. We will initiate this year. But how will you initiate? Have you made it? Have you done any background study? Have you seen how many people are there who will benefit? How will they benefit? So now slowly everybody is realizing that data is something which is very, very important. Like for example, we are also from the IT department, coming up with a program or a scheme to support the class 11 with the online classes happening now. Post COVID, before COVID, nobody even thought that there will be such a thing that classes will be online. So we from the IT department, along in collaboration with the education department, we have been thinking कि चलो कुछ support करें मतलब the form of tabs, interactive tabs with all content loaded in the tabs that children can as well along attend online classes and also use the tabs to study the content that is there as per the syllabus, both the state board syllabus and also the CBSE syllabus to some extent. But then now, with all this having with COVID coming in, now we realize yes, okay, tab to link but where the data about the students, data to you have to get the data first, analyze the data, and once the data is analyzed, then you, I mean otherwise what used to happen was on a guesstimate of how much students are there, we do the procurement is made and then distribute. Sometimes it falls short, sometimes it's excess. So it doesn't become efficient our procurement process. This is something which COVID has taught us. Though all of us knew right from before in everything data is very important. We make plan, but nobody really paid any attention to it before. Now post COVID, not only in my departments, industries, transport, or for that matter IT, all departments now realizing the data driven design of programs and policies is the only way to ensure that policies which are designed benefit the people whom they intend to benefit, and they also ensure that the resources are utilized optimally and efficiently, and there's no wastage of such resources. So this is something which has happened, and I think it's a good thing that has happened. And from here onwards, I must say that before we do anything, you should always look at our data, and data is everything. Once if we want to make any policy that is effective, efficient, and which reaches down to the intended beneficiary of such policies, that is something which is here to stay, and it should not. I mean, you should not digress from that. But and use, collect, store, and use the data for designing our schemes and programs. Yeah.
Perfect. I think thanks for highlighting this importance of data which has emerged, especially after the COVID situation as a region, and there is increased awareness about data collection, data analytics, data intelligence, which has to happen. So let me request our technology expert, Mr. Radha Krishna from SAS, that if you can throw some light on data analytics usage, especially in the transport, mining, and industry department, which SAS has already done, and briefly, you can highlight some of the examples which may be useful. Yeah, Radhaji, please unmute. Yeah, Radha.
Yeah, I'll make it a bit quick. So the one, of course, what I extensively spoke about, revenue leakage identification and revenue maximization in transport department. In one of the states where we're working, which is where one of the major sources of revenue is mining, over there the focus is in terms of increasing the mining revenue of that particular state, and so the facet starts with how does the state look into the allocation of licenses for the for the mining. That is one. What criteria should they follow? Third, of course, is, which is very, very critical, how do they really monitor the amount of ore, the quality of ore that is mined from the state, so that they can have an assessment on the grade, they can have an assessment on the quantity, they can have an assessment of the consistency of the grade across the multiple miners of the particular ore, and how is it increasing, decreasing over a period of time, which will determine the amount of revenue that these individual licensees need to be paying to the government. And we have seen the initial success associated with this usage of analytics by monitoring. One, of course, is the quality of the ore or the grade of the ore. Second is monitoring the vehicles. And I think we discussed earlier also how transport and mining department can collaborate, for the common objective for the state. So this particular example has been immensely successful in one of the states where the collaboration with the transport and the mining department has effectively helped both the departments to identify the revenue leakage. Dr. Ravi.
Fantastic. So, requesting Mr. Sundran to give your views on that. Government of India has launched this AI program for AI for government, like MIT has launched this program. Artificial intelligence has to be used by various government departments. Like, I hope you have heard about it. And there's a lot of discussion happening on how governments have to increase usage of e-governance, citizen services, making our government services online. So, like you are leading the transport department, industry department, and there is a ease of doing business concept which is also being promoted. So, like if you can talk about Sundranjit, that how are you looking at usage of IT for increasing these areas of ease of doing business, or increasing or making the citizen services better in the transport department and industry department, which you are especially looking at.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much. And launch of AI by Government of India, Ministry of IT is something which is it's welcome. In fact, the Ministry of IT is having this AI charchas regularly to acquaint all the state governments, especially the officers working in the IT department of the state government and other officers which are dealing with IT matters, to acquaint them with the different nuances of the AI that they have launched. It's called very nicely called AI Pe Charcha, where you have a session almost, not mistaken, once in 2 weeks or once a week or once a month. I'm not very sure, but we have and we do participate in those, and it's something which is very welcome because it reduces the human element in many of our interventions. Having said that, I'm not saying that the human element should totally go off, because sometimes technology is technology. So if there's no human element at all, and then the AI system is programmed in such a way that the response is only a yes or no, A or B for a particular input, and if the input is something else, I know it's citizen wants something else rather than A and B. So the system of the AI system should be robust enough to also, assimilate the different inputs put in by the citizen, and then be able to give an answer or a response something different from A and B. So I feel that some little bit of human element will also be there. But of course, having said that, AI is something which is here to stay, and is something which is to really help ease the problems of the citizens, and also help to deliver the services in a much more efficient and a faster manner. And of course, it is a very nascent stage now in the government departments. Government of India has just launched very recently, and like I said earlier, we're still in the process of learning and assimilating things on how it is done. In fact, we had a very interesting VC the other day, about a week ago, with the World Economic Forum on how to use AI for smart cities and for education and for other interventions. And in that VC, I remember I had put for the point that yes, AI is good, it's important, but before we go large scale, let us take some particular sectors for some particular area, use it as a pilot. Let's use AI there, see how it works, see how the citizens respond, see how the officials also respond to their work being minimized and reduced by this coming in. And then once it is fairly successful in that particular sector or particular area where we are focusing, say in smart cities, like for cleaning of the sewage or the wastewater treatment. So let us try in one particular ward first, or municipality, see how it goes. Once it's seen that we learn from what happens there. Once it is implemented, then we can spread it out to the other wards and municipalities. It is the in thing, no doubt. AI is the in thing, but as government departments, we need to also understand that there are so many of our people who are working down the line, apart from officers on top down the line, are I'm not really technology efficient, they need to be taught, they need to be cajoled, they need to be they need to be given the proper necessary training in such systems. And once that is done in a small pilot basis, then when people start seeing the change, then it can be expanded into other sectors and other parts as well. AI, IoT, something very very interesting. Blockchain, all the in things. But without the once implemented in government, without the active cooperation and support of the people who will use them and who will implement them into departments, I think it just think yes, Hanji, AI installed kar diya, will use through AI without your own people coming on board, it'll never work. In all kinds of
Yes.
projects, all kinds of work, without getting your people on board. I mean, everything will be, it'll just be on paper, nothing will work. So we need to, handhold your people in the organization first, get them attuned to the systems. Then I think once they are attuned, things will move in a smooth manner, and definitely it'll improve the delivery of services, not only to citizen but even to government also, and government to business as well. Like you talked very rightly, sir, about ease of doing business. Department of IIT, DPIIT is putting a lot of emphasis on ease of doing business, following our honorable Prime Minister's thing that there should be total ease of doing business for the people in the country. People who want to come for business should not have the roadblocks, the bureaucratic red tape at every step. In fact, Government of India has launched that your national single window portal where people just apply a national single window, and all the clearances will come on that portal itself. You don't need to run from pillar to post and you get one clearance after the other. There's something, the focus is there from the Government of India as well for ease of doing business, not only for setting up a business in the state, but ease of doing business will also mean business with citizen also as well. Whatever the citizen requires, you should not be running from pillar to post. So that's something which the focus is there from the government, and from state government as well. We are keen to onboard on that and keen to take off from there, so that we are able to provide the best service to a citizen. And in this process, AI, IoT, the blockchain technology are three important pillars which will help us, in the ease of providing our services to the citizens of the state, or also the citizens of our country. Yeah, Ravi, thanks.
Fantastic, fantastic inputs. And I think your point about that we can't implant technology like it. People have to be trained, people have to be supported, people will have to be get guided in these technology which are coming in every day. So Radha, I will ask you, we are at the closing end of the session, so requesting you are representing one of the top MNCs in the IT sector, which is SAS, and which is an expert in data analytics and artificial intelligence kind of things. So how can organization like yours support the government departments to adopt data analytics very well? Radha, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Ravi. So I think one of the remarkable features or data point in last half a decade is the number of government departments who have invested in collecting, organizing data, and exploiting that particular data for various reasons has grown immensely, actually. A few years back, we used to talk, the primary challenge used to be lack of data, but now the challenge is exactly the reverse. There is, owing to the data explosion for various reasons now, and as Mr. Sindram mentioned, COVID has accelerated the reasons for data explosion. Actually, there's so much of digital aspect to every operation what we are doing, and the data is being collected actually. So SAS is part of this particular journey for most of the government departments, whether it is GST or erstwhile VAT departments, where we are engaged with multiple state governments to increase the compliance, tax compliance, as well as increase the revenue of the state. That is one. Second is the mining departments, which I spoke, where states are looking at investing AI, ML, and to a certain extent AI to technologies for increasing the revenue and increasing the compliance. Third, of course, is the transport departments, where we're working with a couple of states on the transport department with the objective of increasing the efficiency and effectiveness of the operations, and also increasing the citizen experience, improving the citizen experience. Fourth is we're also working with multiple health departments. Now, I think pre-COVID to post-COVID, there is a paradigm shift in terms of how health departments are looking at increasing the effectiveness of the operations. Now, we were working with one of the largest healthcare scheme across the globe, which is Ayushman Bharat as part of NHA. We're also working with the state governments with a view to one look at the disease surveillance part, emergence of these diseases. We worked very large scale basis with multiple state governments during COVID. One is to understand the emergence of the disease, disease progression, optimization or what do you call expectation prediction of the medical facilities that are required. Third, of course, is on the epidemiology models, which are very critical for the state governments to understand or the health departments to understand the progression of the disease so that they can plan the medical infrastructure. So all in all, there are multiple departments within a state. Now it could also include excise, it could include transport, health, tax, all the very critical functions of a state which directly impact the citizens and also the government from the revenue perspective. SAS has been engaged to provide value to these state governments. And one good thing is the state governments and these departments are continuing to engage and invest in SaaS over last more than 5 years because they see a value in terms of these engagements where we are able to clearly show the impact with respect to the functioning of the department and also providing that experience to the citizens. Dr. Ravi.
Fantastic. So, Radha, thanks for highlighting how SAS is helping various departments in adopting data analytics and AI and ML technologies, and requesting MR Sindran ji to kindly give your closing remarks. We wish to thank you for joining us. We are really honored to have you, and it's like great to hear that your state is adopting so much IT policies and IT adoption steps are being taken from your side. So, requesting you to give your closing remarks, and we can then end the session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ravi. As to follow up from what Radha said just now, see, earlier the issue was there's lack of data. Number now is there's, like he said, data explosion of many types. Number three is data don't talk to each other. All data are in silos. Health department has its own data. The rural development department has its own data, which may be the same people, but the data don't talk to each other. So you have multiple data sets which do not communicate at all with each other. So as you all aware, then Government of India now is coming up with this India enterprise architecture where you have data talking to each other, not sitting in silos at all. And we're grateful to the Ministry of IT for selecting the state of Meghalaya as the first state to pilot this enterprise architecture. In fact, we have launched our own Meghalaya enterprise architecture with support from the Ministry of IT and the finance and tourism departments of the departments which are piloting it right now. And the idea being that data which is there, because we have a whole host of data. Every government has so much of data, but when we need to get relevant data, we know that data is lying with the say data that I require will be lying with the urban department or with the rural development department, but I cannot get the data because the data systems don't talk to each other. It's just closed in silos. So this enterprise architecture is like an architecture where all different cogs to a wheel, but they're not in silos, they talk to each other. So this is one thing which is a very good initiative, a very good thing that the Government of India has done. And we are once again grateful to them that they've chosen us state to have a pilot. We've just launched it a couple of weeks ago. And with the learnings that we have from the two departments of finance and tourism, we then scale it up and cover all the other departments as well. So that when we have data, we have one data set, and we don't need not replicate the same data with different departments. We just talk to each other, pull whatever data we require, and what's not required can be kept back, and then accordingly make the systems leaner, faster, and be able to deliver in a quick and in a manner that is efficient and not waste of resources, waste of time, and waste of energy as well. There's something which is good which is happening. And to give a small example, also when we had this second wave of COVID, we had a devastating effect. Everyone all over the country, we saw how much critical oxygen was, and at that point of time, nobody knew how much oxygen we were. We had a big problem here in our state. In fact, we also had a big problem. So the chief secretary at a point of time said, Basantam, you please, one committee was formed, you'd handle the oxygen system, management system of all the hospitals. So what we did was, we sat down with all the doctors and hospitals, got a data of how much oxygen cylinders they have, which hospital has how many cylinders, which hospital has PSA plans, converted them into a dashboard, a live dashboard. And at any point of time, we just go to the dashboard, we see which oxygen, which hospital is running low, which hospital has excess. So we can that way manage it. That in that way, data has helped us a lot in managing the oxygen system during the phase two, the second wave of the COVID. And that data we are also integrating this with the ODAC system of the Government of India, the oxygen dashboard with ODA system of the Government of India. We are integrating this with that. That from the Government of India they can also see in which state, in which district, in which hospital, how much oxygen is having. That way, data that we have here is also talking with the data that's there in the Government of India. And such kind of systems are required to put it in short. I thank Ravi for everything for the time he's given me and for calling me here. We need data, that is important. Data analytics is important, but we need data to talk to each other. We don't need data to stay in silos, so that we're able to then use the data optimally and get the implementation of our plans and issues that we have in a manner that is brings fast, quick, and optimal relief and support to whomever the internet beneficiary is. So with these words, I think these closing remarks, once again, Dr. Ravi, thank you so much for having me on this interaction. Thank you so much, Mr. Dada, for your input from the technology side point of view, from SAS especially, and really delighted to be part of this discussion. Hope to have similar discussions again sometime in future when if Ravi is kind enough to call, we'll definitely join and have a discussion on maybe some other topics as well. Thank you so much.
I think great inputs, Mr. Sandran, and we are really thankful for you to join us, and we will be happy to have you in our future sessions. I think you have mentioned about the pilot, you are doing about the enterprise architecture and the finance department and the tourism department. I think SAS would be happy to help you and support you in doing this. So I will request Radha to kindly contact Mr. Simram and see that if there are opportunities for any collaboration. So thank you, Mr. Simram. Excellent speech you have given, excellent overview you have given about IT implementation in your state. And thank you, Mr. Radha, for giving us the technology perspective which is happening globally. Thank you and namaskar to both of you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the
Thanks a lot.
Sorry, the phone was on mute. That was Commissioner and Secretary Industries, Government of Meghalaya, who was in conversation with the SAS expert, Mr. B. Radhakrishna, and also the Editor-in-Chief of Elects Technomedia, Dr. Ravi Gupta. As very well said by the Secretary and also reinforced by Mr. Radhakrishna of SAS, that the COVID, post-COVID and pre-COVID, there has been a tectonic shift in the way the data is managed. While there was a dearth of data before COVID, during the COVID and post-COVID, there has been a data explosion of sort. And to handle with such gigantum and humongous data, companies like SAS have been into fore. So taking forward the discussions today in this conference, Revenue Management and Intelligence Summit 2021, the second edition, the East India edition, I would now like to move you on to a next fireside chat, wherein we are going to be joined by the Chief Technology Officer, Passport Seva of Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, Mr. Golok Kumar Simili. And in conversation with Mr. Golok Kumar Simili would be Vineet Khanna, Executive Director, SAS. And with both of them from Elects Technomedia would be Harshal Desai, my colleague and senior correspondent in e-Governance magazine. So I now would like to invite Harshal, Vineet Khanna, and Golok Simili on the stage, please.
Hello everyone, this is Harshal Desai, Assistant Editor at Elects Technomedia Private Limited. I welcome you all to the East edition of Revenue Management and Intelligence Summit, which is being jointly organized by Elit's Technomedia Private Limited and SAS India. As most of the delegates are already aware, we had two successful editions earlier, North and West, where a number of experts from various states participated and shared their expertise and experience in these virtual summits. In the East edition today, we will be discussing several innovations happening in different departments, including revenue and stamp duty, income tax, transport, mines and geology, municipal corporations. We will deliberate upon the potential use of artificial intelligence and cognitive computing in revenue and intelligence management mechanism. Besides this, we will also try to explore adoption of new age technologies uh, in like analytics and artificial intelligence by these departments, how they are maximizing revenue and reducing cost by using these technologies. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Golab Kumar Simli. Welcome, Mr. Golab Kumar Simli in this program. Thank you so much for agreeing and participate in this summit, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Simli is Chief Technology Officer at Passport Seva uh, uh, in Government of India. And I would like to take 1 minute to introduce Mr. Golab Kumar Simli. He is an award-winning government technology leader. We all know whose contribution towards e-governance and digital governance has been remarkable. As many of us are already aware, his efforts towards digital transformation within public sectors is immense. He has architected and implemented the Passport Seva program for smooth delivery of passport services at the doorstep of the citizen in India. One of India's most successful e-governance program, we can say, and we congratulate for that to Mr. Golab Kumar Simli for this initiative, which has indeed been a very great initiative by the department. He has also been steering and contributing to the use of emerging technology in public sectors. He has been guiding implementing of cyber security, data and information security framework for the government sector. His keen areas of interest are cloud, big data, analytics, artificial intelligence, and RPA. He has also written many articles on the use of information communication and technology in government services delivery, transformation, and spoken at various national and international seminars on digital transformation. Currently, Sri Golab Kumar Simli is serving as the Chief Technology Officer at Passport Seva Program, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. He carried a wide range of experience exceeding 28 years in ICT. A very uh, it's a very remarkable 28 years Mr. Simli is serving the government, starting with private sector, public sector undertaking, Reserve Bank of India, and more than 14 years with the government. He is also advising the team for implementing of e-passport project of External Affairs Ministry at Government of India. And we are already aware Mr. Simli has won a number of awards also for all the initiatives that he had undertaken. I would just read out a couple of them. He has been awarded for CIO Power List 2021 recently. He received Cloud Innovation Award 2021. He has also received Innovation Heroes Award in 2020 and awarded CIO Power List in 2020 as well. A Digital Icon Award 2019 from Indian Express Group, MIT Excellence Award for Technology Innovation and Leadership in 2018, DataQuest Digital Leader Technovator of the Year Award 2018. This list is really long. And once again, on behalf of ELITS and SAS India, we welcome Mr. Golab Kumar Simli. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Today's session will be moderated by Mr. Vinit Khanna. Mr. Vinit Khanna is Executive Director at SAS India, and he has been with SAS for 19 years and carries an overall 25 years of experience of engaging global and Indian companies in delivering artificial intelligence and machine learning projects. His core specializations in risk management, and he is a qualified actuary. So with this introduction, I once again welcome Mr. Simli and Mr. Vinit Khanna. from SAS India. And I would like to hand over this virtual dais to Mr. Vineet Khanna. Over to you, Mr. Vineet Khanna.
Thank you, Harshal, for the introduction. And again, I would like to welcome Mr. Simli for the discussion. So, without any further ado, let us start the discussion, Mr. Simli. So, Mr. Simli, you have been associated with the passport seva for a very long time, and so I mean, and you have seen the technology getting adopted at passport seva. Uh, can you share with us how this advanced technology adoption has been an enabler for your organization? And also, what are some of the key milestones in your view, which the technology adoption has enabled in Passport Seva?
Thank you, Mr. Vineet. But at the outset, let me thanks Mr. Hassel for a very generous kind of introduction, which probably I don't deserve. At the same time, I also thanks Relates Technomedia Private Limited for bringing me here. Vineet, a lot of thanks goes to you and no SAS for joining this conversation today. Now coming back to the topic, Vineet, today if you ask me, and typically if we say that what is the role of advanced technology or what is the role of technology per se, especially in Passport Seva program, but let me take little, before even Passport Seva program, the days when we started e-governance in the year 2004 and 5, when we actually conceptualized the national e-governance plan at large. So there on, if you see the role of technology, the kind of digital platform or the core platform government of India established during those days, including the core and common infrastructure, including the data centers, including the front-end delivery centers. And probably there, then the government decided, let's have a kind of a mission mode approach while we are attempting these large kind of a programs. And Passport Seva program was one of the mission mode program identified during that point of time as part of the National E-Governance Initiative, rather National E-Governance Plan. Now, actually coming back to the Passport Seva program, and I have been fortunate enough to be part of that team who conceptualized the National E-Governance Plan of India. Now, from there on, if we see the journey beneath, and today, if you ask me when we are actually conceptualizing the Passport Seva program, we had typically 3-4 things in mind, so that we don't go wrong. And especially these 3-4 caveats were the first and foremost thing was in mind is how do I make a presence felt for the citizens, citizens at large, masses at large. I mean, the idea was, why is that citizen at every point of time, they will follow up with the government for a services. We thought, let's just reverse it. Let's do it 180-degree turnaround. Why can't I as a government department or I as a ministry, I start following the citizens, rather citizens start following me, right? So that was the first thing in our mind. How do we achieve that? Now, keeping that in mind, then another 2-3 facts were always kind of bothering us. One is the kind of digital ecosystem we wanted to create, because we were in a kind of a verge of collapsing in terms of infrastructure, in terms of manpower capacity, in terms of facilities and amenities. So everything was collapsing, and the kind of citizen expectation and demand, they were increasing. We thought this traditional way of approaching this will never work. And that is why the second very important factor we discovered in Passport Seva program, saying that let innovate some new business model. And that is why we innovated a new business model with industry partners, right? Because we are very much aware that even if government is taking care of the policy issues, process issues, compliances issues, but how do we take care of creating this massive digital infrastructure, not for the first time, for the all time to come, right? And that is why we said this traditional model will never work. And let's create a innovative business model where probably government and industry partner both have a win-win scenario, and let's do that. And that's what we discovered a new and innovative business model. So this was the second biggest thing on mind when we are conceptualizing or strategizing the Passport Seva program. Then the third very thing was, every time we show that, okay, most of the time we feel that government, we start a program with a very big bang approach, but over the time, it lacks sustainability, it lacks, service assurance, it lacks service quality. And why is that was happening, right? Then we realize, probably earlier the program were maybe driven by a kind of a personal specific kind, leader specific kind of a thing. That will not work. Let's create an institutional mechanism for that, right? And this institutional mechanism has to be, as I say, it's a collaboration between government and industry. The training, skilling, capacity building, everything has to be part and parcel of the ecosystem or the business model at large. And at the last, the idea was, how do we create a responsive system where any grievances, any kind of a complaints coming to me, before even citizen reacts, I must react, right? So these are the 3-4 things we need. We started, kind of looking into the Passport Seva program. And then there we found that the technology is the only option, the only way forward, other than innovating new business model or kind of collaborating with the industry partner. The technology is the only means to create this kind of a. I typically tell them 4 E's. The first E is kind of a efficiency. The second E is a kind of a ease of doing business. The third is, I typically say, how do I create a kind of a elasticity or agility? And the fourth is, I was looking for a kind of expandability or scalability. And there probably technology helped me like anything. So that's how we conceptualized and started Passport Seva program.
Okay, so interesting insights, Mr. Simli, which you bring, and the journey starting from 2004, and now, and all of us, I mean, on the call or maybe the audience, we'll all agree that the kind of massive changes as citizens, as a consumer of the services, we have seen is something which cannot go unnoticed, and certainly it has been a major success. And the most important thing you mentioned, that you kept citizen at the center, and then build the entire ecosystem around that. But very interesting thing which you brought out, Mr. Simli, was about use of digital, and the achievements have been exemplary when it comes to Passport Seva in terms of adoption of digital. And and the next stage from digital is, of course, a greater adoption of the AI, machine learning, data science, and a whole host of innovation that is happening in that field to further improve the citizen experience or the performance, etc. Can you share with us, are these? I'm sure you are already, must be experimental, already using it to a large extent. But what has been your experience, and how can these technologies make some difference?
No, very, very interesting, Vineet. Again, it's very interesting. I'll say, no, you can see where typically the challenges is or where exactly we go wrong. If you again ask me, the approach was, how do I advance or how do I take a step forward from the silos to a consolidation stage, then from consolidation stage to a automation stage, and probably today I am at a disruption stage, right? Now, while you are attempting the way forward or your digital journey at large, from let's say silo days to the automation days, our experience is that the leveraging of digital technologies, advanced technologies, today we call them emerging technologies. Now all these will happen. All these will happen. But the idea is, even if you are trying to attempt this kind of advanced technology, or emerging technology, the idea was, do I really understand, my businesses at large holistically? Can I create that kind of a visibility which I am looking for, not only for myself, not only for my organization at large or employee at large, but also towards my ecosystem at large, stakeholders at large, and the beneficiaries and the consumers, right? Now, while I was looking, leveraging technology into achieving all these factors, see, my way of looking the digital journey or the digital transformation is, again, I categorize them into 3-4 folds. Now, the first fold is, how do I create a digital foundation or digital platform, which probably not only for me, but also for my stakeholders and ecosystem at large has to be taken care of. And can I create that kind of a digital platform? As I rightly said, it is not only for today, but tomorrow, if I want to, let's say, move forward with leveraging this emerging technology, is the digital foundation which I have created for is supporting for me or not? For an example, let me give a small example from my own program. When I was trying to leverage the cloud, to especially give the same kind of experience to my Indian diaspora across my all embassies and consulate outside India, right? The problem happening to me, or the problem which I was facing, is the latency factor. I was having a problem of giving the same kind of a experience to my global users as well as the citizens, Indian diaspora living outside the country. And then I thought, what is the way forward then? Then we found that, okay, cloud is the way. Now, the moment I thought of that, saying that cloud is the way, there are 3-4 things heavily come into me. As that I'll be losing some compliances issue, is that I'll be violating some government guidelines while I'll be attempting to cloud, especially because I'll be serving the customers who are outside the India, right? Or the Indian diaspora. Now, there I find that no, it is definitely possible, provided I deal with all those compliances, guidelines. At the same time, if I take care of my data localization principle without moving my application and DB layer from my own premises data center, and then extending the cloud kind of experience to my global users and global citizens, Indian citizens, probably it is possible, right? But that was only possible because, as I said, my digital platform, which I created as part of Passport Seva larger ecosystem, that has a kind of a capability to leverage this kind of a emerging technology. So that is the first thing one has to think through before even attempting this kind of a journey. The second factor, I always say that I must understand my data sets and data points. Even if, let's say, I'm doing something on the cloud, or I'm leveraging this emerging technology like AI or analytics, and when it comes to these data sets and data points, beneath, I typically say in various forums saying that, do I really understand my data points? Now, when I say data points, right from ingestion to insights, right? That is that how is that the data I am capturing, and how is that the data I am harvesting or leveraging further? So that is from ingestion to insights. Do I really understand my data sets and data points? The second factor on the data side is the kind of workload you are dealing. What kind of workload you are dealing? Is it a fiduciary kind of workload? Is it a configurable kind of a workload? Is it a kind of a public data? Is it kind of a confidential data? Again, do you have that kind of a holistic visibility while even you are attempting to cloud or AI or this kind of a no advanced technology? And if you ask me, I am fully and solely control of those data points today, right? Whatever I am doing with the passport data of the citizens or personal data of the city. So that is another very important aspect. I must understand my data sets. I must understand my data points. And am I somewhere violating those compliances, guidelines, regulation, land of the law? That is the second very important factor while attempting this advanced technology. The third area is what for I am kind of leveraging or trying to use this emerging technology, whether it is AI, blockchain, or whatever it is. So am I able to create a use case? Typically we say, in technology terms, is that the business case or use case is perfect where you are trying to leverage this. For an example, when I was attempting to all social media kind of a customer trends and customer behaviors, I had to take help of chat bot, advanced bot, AI, and analytics. Now that is a part of your entire unstructured data sets. So while you are bringing your entire unstructured data sets, making some actionable insights, again, is that one is on the technology front, another is the business front, and third is that your use case is perfect. Is that your business case is perfect, which you are actually looking for? Probably I thought to expand or enhance my customer experience when I was attempting towards the social media, right? So again, no, typically I foresee that the emerging technology like artificial intelligence, blockchain, or I have a different use case. Blockchain I am using for the police verification, improving the police verification purpose. AI and analytics I have made use case to improve the customer experience front, especially on the social media front, right? The analytics engine I am using to experience my and explore my new business opportunity, demand forecastation, workforce management, workforce productivity management. So different kind of use case I have built for data and analytics engine. So again, as I said, you have to be very careful what exactly, which is the area, which is the business case. Is the business case is perfect? Is the data insights you are extracting from these kind of unstructured data sets or semi-structured data sets, apart from definitely your structured data sets, are you in a position to actually visualize that and take it through? So that's how I take it, Vinny.
Yes, Mr. Simli. So, our experience also very much concurs with what you have shared, and our experience having worked with the different government agencies and departments. I mean, we are pretty much seeing the same, potential under promise of next generation technologies like AI and ML. But interesting, and you brought about a range of areas like even the experience on social media, or for example operations, or adoption. Is there any use case which you came across in terms of identification of say fraud and abuse? I mean, that's something which is a very prominent use case we see across various agencies and departments. How
Oh
is the
yes, yes.
situation yours?
Yes, again, no, this is very important for us, in fact, in terms of fraud, identifying the frauds, in terms of finding the, typically we say, identity mismanagement. There are a lot of identity mismanagement people try to do, or duplicate of identity while as a part of passport issuance system. And here again, it benefited me immense, this kind of a analytics engine or this kind of AI engine, where I'm actually trying to point out, or I'm trying to find out, is that a citizen or a customer is trying to duplicate his or her identity. For an example, let me give another example here. Let's say today I have applied for a passport in the name of Golok Kumar Simli, right? Later on, it so happened that somehow I'm able to manage all the documents and other kind of a documentary evidences in the name of, let's say, Golok Kumar Singh, right? Golok Kumar Simli has become now Golok Kumar Singh because of the fact that he or she is able to manage all those kind of a documentary evidences. Now here is our action starts, saying that how do now I filter these two guys, saying that he is the same guy. One is on the algorithm side, another is on the the documentary evidences they are submitting, and third is the kind of pattern available for that particular citizen in the entire database, right? And other than this, am I able to capture some sort of a another kind of a clues or something from other, let's say, social media or other kind of a feed which I am putting into my actionable insights on the database, right? So here again, detecting this kind of a fraud, it helps us very much. The second example I can quote here is, we typically carry 2-3 kind of a database. One is your normal database, so citizen normal database. One is we call policy database, where these kind of citizen we keep a track, based on the kind of algorithm we have built, or based on the kind of technological tools I am using, right? And then the third kind of data is naturally the core kind of a data, which probably most of the criminal and other kind of a data sets. Now, all these 3 data sets which I have on the database, now how do I devise a mechanism, or how do I define a framework on my that we typically check dedupe algorithm, saying that all these kind of a fraud kind of a happening on the citizen side or on the document side, or let's say some kind of a identity mismatch they are trying to create, I'll be able to catch. The last thing again we have recently started doing is, since probably even if you do whatever you do with the demographic data and whatever analytics or this kind of a AI engine you use, it was becoming like very difficult to catch this kind of a fraud. And there now we have started matching the your biometric data also, in terms of photographs, in terms of your biometric. So that's adding into again detecting the frauds. Probably I'll say that almost on a negligible now we have made it in terms of fraud and other things. So that's how we are approaching Vinay. Yeah.
Interesting, Mr. Simli. So, from data to insights, and very interesting chatting with you on the work you have done, and the story from 2004 to now has been phenomenal, and we look forward to the continued momentum and benefiting as citizens uh, in your journey going forward as well. There is a lot which we have in our mind, which can be progress from here on, from the data analytics point of view.
Yeah.
And considerable experience, and probably we look forward to having adoption of greater analytical and machine learning techniques in any ways we can be of help on that thing. Harshal,
Absolutely.
you want to come in? Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Singh.
No, 2 more points, Vineet. What I find our industry partner or people like SAS and many other organizations who can help us not only on the service delivery experience in terms of citizen and masses at a large, but on the other side to the organizations or ministry at large. One is how do we create a kind of a service delivery framework, typically I say, or service delivery architecture, where probably people like you, tools, technology you people carry, can help us to define this architecture holistically. What I typically have realized, or what I typically have found is the industry partners or the system integrator approaching us, they look into one segment. Let's say they'll try that, okay, I'll try to improve your compute segment. Somebody will say that, okay, I'll try to improve your network segment. Somebody will say and come and say that, okay, I'll try to improve your storage segment. No, I was not looking for that. I as a customer or as a citizen, I'll be looking at the service layer, application layer. So the architecture, what has to be now, we all might be looking, and especially when government is creating this kind of a that we call platform of platform. Aadhaar could be a platform of platform. DigiLocker could be another platform of platform. Where whether it is a government, you as a private, I as an individual, these platform will try to give you the seamless, same experience for everyone, right? And if we are trying to leverage these kind of a platform of platform, I am running an application, let's say passport, somebody running an application like GSTN, somebody running a application like, let's say, income tax. Every one of will have our own way, our own business requirement. But if we are able to create this kind of a service architecture or application architecture which deals with all these segment holistically, probably in my view, we can give a better experience to the citizens at large, customers at large at one side, and on the other side we'll be in a perfect grip and control. Typically we'll have the full control of that we call a strategic control within the government or within the ministry. So that's how I'll put it to end it or to conclude it, Vinit. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Golab Kumar Simli, Chief Technology Officer, Passport Seva Program, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, for this conversation. We once again, on behalf of ILETS and SAS India, thank you, Mr. Simli, for taking time out to participate. And as a token of gratitude, we would like to present this certificate to you for imparting insights and experience at the Revenue Management and Intelligence Summit today on this platform. So with this, we shall close this exclusive conversation formally here. And we thank you.
Thank you, Arshal. Thank you. It's always been a pleasure to be part of the ILETS event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Vinit Khanna. Mr. Vinit Khanna, thank you so much for moderating the session and for having a wonderful and exclusive conversation, Mr. Golab Kumar Simli. And it was wonderful listening to all the experiences that Mr. Simli has shared in the conversation. I would like to ask you, as a technology partner, how can SAS advanced analytics solution help government departments in meeting their objectives and functioning?
Yeah, so Harshal, we are proud to be associated already with many leading and prestigious projects which government is undertaking currently. To name a few, we are currently working with National Health Authority in the fraud analytics space. We are working with MOSPI in the area of analysis of time series, building indices, etc. And a lot of data is getting organized and analyzed over there. We are working with CBDT and CBIC, as you know, that these are the direct and indirect tax collection bodies, and there again, a lot of data which is coming in is analyzed in the context of expanding the taxpayers base in the direct case, or for example, in the case of indirect tax in terms of container scoring. Not only in the central government, to name a few state governments which have been extensively analyzing data from SAS is in the area of, again, as the GST implementation has gone about, many states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Chhattisgarh, Punjab, they've all adopted SAS analytics for improving their collection as well as in policy design part of it. In addition, there are emerging use cases. There are, as you're aware, that government is providing a lot of social benefit to the citizens and all. We are working in a large manner in terms of making sure that the benefits reach the intended beneficiaries. At the same time, we are able to curtail waste, fraud, and abuse as much as possible of these schemes. There is a large amount of discussions that is happening with the law enforcement agencies in terms of policing, in terms of fusion centers, etc., etc. So it is a really a big adoption which is going on across central and state governments, and in the range of use cases which are there. I mean, if I have to draw, Mr. Simli gave an analogy from 2004 to now, which is 17 years kind of thing. Even the last 3 years, if I look at it, we were only talking about from the perspective of doing AI and machine learning experimentation. but right now it is like a tsunami. It is like a very large scale adoption which is happening, and we are at the forefront of that, primarily because keywords, key operating things which we have kept in mind. First of all, we are cloud ready, so which means that a customer has the flexibility to deploy our packages either on prem or take it on cloud. So we support all variations. We are enabling open source, and open source is a reality. So we are accelerating the adoption of analytics, whether it comes from SaaS or whether it is from open source. So we are all embracing now, and making sure that the end customer gets a desired benefit of the best analytical algorithms which is there. We have built a lot of industry contents and framework, and whatever learnings we are having from the field, we are putting it as part of the solution offerings and trying to give the content to the customer in an as much ready format as possible, so that it does not become an exercise of learning on the ground. Because if we are able to, being a global organization, and if we are able to bring in that experience to the customer, then a customer can really accelerate the adoption and be on a much faster track in terms of this adoption. As you know, that as an organization we spend close to 25% of our revenue back into R&D, and our focus continues to remain on making sure those leading edge analytical platforms and content are made available to the customer. And that's something which is helping adoption, as well as also reducing the time to market for many of our customers at this stage.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Khanna, for sharing this input.
Thank you, my colleague Harshal Desai there. A very nice conversation between Mr. Vineet Khanna, Executive Director of SAS, with the Chief Technology Officer of Passport Seva, Ministry of External Affairs, Mr. Golak Kumar Simile. As rightly mentioned in his introductory remarks by Harshal Desai, Passport Seva of Ministry of External Affairs is one of the flagship schemes of Government of India. And in fact, it has been one of the most shining examples of e-governance. There has been a lot of challenges initially. Many teething problems were there, but with the right leadership at the helm and people like Mr. Golak Simile, the project not only went smoothly, but it has moved on to become one of the most successful e-governance initiatives in whole country and furthering the cause of the Digital India mission. Now, taking forward the discussions today in today's conference on Revenue Management and Intelligence Summit, I would now like to invite another expert speaker from the Government of India, Dr. C. Van Lal Ram Sangha, Economic Advisor in the Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. And in conversation with Dr. C. Van Lal Ram Sangha would be Manshu Vansal, Senior Business Solutions Manager, SAS India. And in conversation with both Manshu and Dr. Van Lal Ram Sangha would be again my colleague, Assistant Editor and Senior Correspondent Harshal Desai. So over to you, all three of you, Dr. C. Van Lal Ram Sangha, Manshu Vansal, and Harshal Desai.
Hello, everyone. This is Harshal Desai, Assistant Editor, Elit's Technomedia Private Limited. I welcome you all to the East edition of Revenue Management and Intelligence Summit, which is being jointly organized by Elit's Technomedia Private Limited and SAS India. As most of our delegates are already aware, we had two successful editions, North and West already, where a number of experts from various states participated and shared their expertise and experience in this virtual summit. In the East edition today, we will be discussing several innovations happening in different departments, including revenue and stamp duty, income tax, excise, transport, mines and geology, and municipal corporations. We will also deliberate upon the potential use of artificial intelligence and cognitive computing in revenue and intelligent management. Besides this, we will also try to explore the adoption of new age technologies like analytics and artificial intelligence by these departments for maximizing revenue and reducing cost, bringing superlative citizen and customer experience, and plugging the revenue leakage. Before we start today's panel discussion, we will have an exclusive conversation with Dr. C. Vanlalaram Sangha, who is Economic Advisor, Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Welcome, Dr. C. Vanlalaram Sangha, in this exclusive interaction today.
Thank you very much, Sal. It's a pleasure having me here.
Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate you agreed to participate in this conversation, taking time out from your very busy schedule. I would like to take 1 minute to speak about Dr. C. Vanlalaram Sangha. He is MA Economics, MPA in Public Policy, PhD in Economics, IES officer. He is a member of Indian Economic Services 2001 batch. Earlier, he has served as a secretary to Government of Mizoram in charge of planning and program implementation department, including science and technology and economics and statistics. He has also held the responsibility for urban development and poverty affairs department. Thank you so much, Doctor, once again in this platform. And without further delay, we would like to ask you the first question. You have had a long stint in the urban development department. How could you use various innovations, especially technology initiatives, across various projects that you handle? Okay, I believe there is. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Can we start, sir? May
Yes,
we start?
please.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Without further delay, now we'd like to start this exclusive conversation with Dr. C. Vanlalaram Sangha. And the first question that we would like to ask you is, sir, that you have had a long stint in urban development department. And we are aware you have done a remarkable, you have undertaken remarkable initiatives in the state of Mizoram. How could you use various innovations, especially technology initiatives, across various projects that you handled?
Well, technology initiative before the launch of Smart City Mission in 2014, I think in the field of urban development in India have been quite limited. But we do have technology-driven reform initiatives for urban administration, such as online administration for property tax, development of software and digitization of building permission, etc. Were there. However, the Smart City Mission actually intended to making Indian cities even more integrated, sustainable, and also data-driven through technology applications. I think this is the paradigm shift that urban development administration is witnessing in the country. That's actually true for urban administration in various states, including Mizoram. The mission covers only 100 cities now, and these smart cities are actually expected to be lighthouse for other cities. The basic aims of this initiative is to improve the quality of life of the citizens by utilizing technology to improve public service delivery and operations. I think technology will continue to form the backbone of urban development and its transformation, and we'll have to use them appropriately. During COVID crisis period, you can actually see and witness how smart cities are handling the integrated dashboard for COVID management in metro cities. That's very, very effective. And that's why I think technology will continue to form the backbone of urban development in our future. Because if you see the urbanization trends in our, not only in our country, but across the globe, it is projected that around 68% of the world population will live in urban areas in 2050. And for India, around 60 cities will have a population of more than 1 million in 2030. There is huge urban challenge due to congestions and population, sheer population size. So technology is actually our saving grace. Without technological help, we'll not be able to really administer our urban population of such a size. So it is very, very essential to leverage the full potential of technology to develop smarter cities to improve millions of lives in urban areas. I think in that sense, technology will gain more and more importance in urban development and urban administration.
Right. Thank you so much. Even before the smart city mission was started, if I'm not wrong, the Mizoram had a good use of advanced technologies, and you have been one of the witness and one of the person who had led this from the front. Is it true? Would you like to please comment on this statement?
Well, if I can say for the whole Northeast, Mizoram is the first one to introduce property tax on the unit area method, which is actually also on online implemented there, and also online building permission system is introduced a long back, and we are the first one to do that successfully.
Right, right. Thank you, sir. What are the challenges when we adopt newer technologies? Of course, with new technologies, new challenges appears, right? So what are the challenges you see in adopting advanced tech tools and software in government ecosystem?
Well, I answer that question in a very general term because successful development of e-governance ecosystem, particularly adopting advanced technology tools, involve an ecosystem of innovative participation, working together to fill distinct but equally important roles. For that, I think we need to have a holistic view to approach the ecosystem. We have to refrain from focusing solely on managerial aspect or perceiving it as merely as a technical system, because if you do perceive as a managerial solution, neglecting the citizens or the customers part of it, technology application could actually bound to fail easily. Or else, if the technological providers perceive it as merely as a technical system, impose on the government or impose on the citizens, I think it is actually bound to fail easily. That will create a lot of challenges in all kind of stakeholders. Therefore, in order to avoid various challenges, we have to acknowledge early on and integrate all actions and also all actors, such as government, industries, academic institutions, including universities, and citizens from the conception stage itself in the design and implementation of any e-government initiatives. I think e-governance ecosystem is a complex socio-economic and technical system, not only technical system alone, but this is actually socio-economic and technical system where all sort of stakeholders, including citizens, institutions and organizations, industries and companies, as well as various government agencies, should actually work together to create value for all these participants. If integration of such stakeholder is not actually happens early on from conception stage itself, any kind of e-government systems or ecosystem could not be easily built. So that's the foundation stone. So integration of all these stakeholders early on will actually overcome all sort of challenges for such an initiative, including adoption of advanced technological tools for e-government initiatives.
Right. And this is also when citizen participation becomes crucial?
Definitely. They're actually a main major backbone of any sort of e-governance ecosystem. But many of the government policy makers tend to neglect in the beginning at the design and at a conception stage. But they are very, very important stakeholders.
Right, rightly said, sir. Thank you. Now, again, the next element that we need to focus on when we adopt newer technologies is the training of the workforce. So, how significant is training the workforce is, and how can corporations and private companies play a role here?
Well, I do believe, like I said earlier, the e-governance ecosystem comprises of not only government, but also industries, universities, and also citizens. I think the subsystem interaction within the ecosystem promote or inhibit innovative outcomes to improve quality of service and therefore quality or standard of living. So in that subsystem interaction within the ecosystem, knowledge and learning are the key that fuel the intensity of innovation and improvements within the ecosystem. If there is no knowledge sharing or learning among the subsystem, or if there is no interactions among all these key sectors for knowledge and learning, sharing of knowledge and learning, I think innovation and improvement within the ecosystem could not be actually initiated. So therefore, the role of corporates and private companies are very, very, very critical there. They have to really interact with the government key players and also citizens to actually successfully incubate all e-governance applications. They're the one who are actually using it, and they're the one who usually decided for going forward. And on the part of government, I think we will need to provide and facilitate a good learning environment and knowledge sharing for all these stakeholders. That's the main role of a government in initiating e-government initiatives.
Right. Thank you. And when we talk about private players, we are today happy to mention that we have SAS India, which has supported our revenue management and intelligence summit concept, and we have Mr. Manchu Bansal, Senior Business Solution Manager at SAS India. Mr. Bansal, you heard Dr. C. Vanlal Ram Sangha, and as a technology partner, I would like to ask you, how can SAS advanced analytics solutions can help government departments in meeting their objectives and functions?
Yeah, thanks, Harshal. So today, when we talk about analytics, it emphasizes on the end-to-end aspect of data sourcing, data preparation, data quality, and getting it ready and right for analytics, for deploying multiple analytical algorithms, and finally disseminating the results to the business user for their consumption. So SAS solution also works on the same approach and has three broad pillars to its solutioning, working as a pre-integrated solution. So I'll talk about the significance of a pre-integrated solution, but those three pillars are data management, advanced analytics, and finally alerting and reporting. The pre-integration aspect is really important to be emphasized as it overcomes the hassles of a disintegrated technology framework, where a lot of focus was traditionally given to solve technology issues. But with the pre-integrated technology framework, focus is on solving business problems rather than technical integration of multiple technologies, multiple versions together. So let me talk at a high level about data management, which has capabilities to source data from internal sources, from external department sources, even real-time data through multiple file formats like JSON and API, the need of the hour, and eventually do a lot of data management activities like ingestion, cleansing, standardization, golden record creation, as well as network generation. So all of this is very important so that the data goes into the analytical engine is right for the problem to be solved. Coming to analytics, SAS deploys a hybrid analytics approach which comprises of not just business rules, but through a mix of anomaly models, predictive models, network analytics models to identify areas of fraud and risk, or for that matter, solve any other business problem at context. So after execution of those analytical algorithms, these output are then given to the business user in an easy to use graphical interface as alerts and reports, which are then consumed and acted upon with a feedback, so that these machine learning algorithm can self-improvise the results over a period of time. This approach has tremendously helped organization to go beyond a reporting rule-based approach to the adoption of an advanced AI and ML-based approach, and bringing efficiencies into the system and operational processes by virtue of these alerts and reports. So with the recent advances in technology, SAS enables the usage of these algorithms for business users, now called as power users, compared to the traditional approach of a data scientist working on a problem in silo. The problem of working in silo is being overcome by these powerful business users who can themselves tune and use these algorithms, test them, execute them, and productionize them. So with a minimal set of training given to these power business users, organizations in private and government are making use of these advanced analytics solutions like SAS, and we as a technology partner aid governments in meeting their objectives.
Great, and thank you so much, Mr. Manshuk Bansal, for sharing these inputs in this forum. I'd like to go to Dr. C. Vanlal Sangha. And sir, so we heard you and we understood that you highlighted the technology alone cannot do. Citizen participation is important, and similar important is the role of private player. This is the last question to you, sir. What are your closing comments when we, because you have been in urban development department for a long time, so probably and you also spoke about the property management mechanism that you first adopted in the state of Mizoram. So how crucial, what are the challenges probably that you had faced that time, particularly in terms of property collection and property management for municipal administration? And your ideas can also give it can be a learning thought for all the municipal corporations across the country as well. So what are your take on this, sir?
Well, like I said, when we actually initiated this e-government initiative, starting with property tax administration and also building regulation and building permission online system, we usually tend to think of it as a managerial issues where we can actually give a public interface online, and that will actually solve the citizens, the stakeholders problem easily. But the main issues, like I said, is that we need to really design e-governance in such a way that citizens will know and understand and wanted this kind of solutions. So there could be some sort of hiccups if we do not actually take citizens on board early on. Yes. So if we do plan accordingly, I think it's a smooth sail for implementing this kind of a thing, because the main the stakeholders are citizens and they have to get themselves ready. And also we need to assess our IT infrastructure appropriately. In some case, that time, 7 years back or so, internet connectivity, the quality of it is not that stable. Now it is improving a lot. We can't really so ambitious at the beginning, but it's a step-by-step initiatives where we can actually solve public service delivery one by one as we are ready and as we are all on board. That's very, very important.
Right. So thank you so much, Dr. C. Vanlaram Sangha, Economic Advisor, Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Thank you so much for participating in this summit and sharing your opinion. We would like to present the token of gratitude to you, sir, for sharing your views and for imparting insights and experience at the Revenue Management and Intelligence Summit today. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, a great conversation there between the economic advisor in the Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Dr. C. Vanlal Ramsanga. With him were Manshu Bansal, Senior Business Solutions Manager from SAS, and my colleague Harshal Desai. It has been a wonderful deliberation for the past 2 hours, wherein we discussed the various aspects of the role of emerging technologies in various departments of the government, and how technology can actually ease, as rightly mentioned by Dr. Banlal Ramsanga, how technology can actually ease the problems of everyday governance in these departments of transport, revenue, and GST, all these departments. How can technology be deployed in a more effective way, wherein the everyday problems of citizens are sorted out, and the government is able to take governance to the last mile. With this, we come to a conclusion of this conference, uh, Revenue Management and Intelligence Summit 2021. It has been a great conference. For the past 4 or 5 months, we have done 3 previous editions covering northern part of the country, western part of the country, and southern part of the country. And with this today's edition on East India, we have covered the entire length and breadth of the country, discussing various aspects of technological deployment in which can augment the revenues of the government, and which can also optimize intelligence gathering by the government departments. With this, I thank you all the esteemed speakers who had participated in the 2 halls here simultaneously. We had a panel discussion, we had fireside chats. I also want to thank all the delegates who have joined us from the nook and corner of the country for the past 2 hours. And I also would like to thank our partner, SAS India, for bringing out this conference before the audience. Thank you. Namaskar and bye-bye.